for more on this. Ann Johnson is a Texas House Democratic representative. She's in Austin. Hi, Representative Johnson. Good to have you with us this evening. I do appreciate you making the time.
You're welcome. Thank you for paying attention to this story.
I do want to start off, and speaking of that, with some of the remarks we heard from police today and some of the questions being asked about the police response to this incident. In particular, some minutes that can't yet be accounted for. What kind of concerns have you been hearing, and can you relay?
So, of course, everybody is trying to get the answers as to what happened. What has happened is traumatic. It is devastating. And what's happened to the community of Uvalde and the families that are suffering, everybody wants to get answers. And so I think it's incredibly important that we get the right information. And no matter what we find out about what happened, we know that 21 individuals were slaughtered in a school. And so we have to focus on how do we get to a point as a state, as a country, where this is not the norm. This is a devastating event, but enough has got to be enough. We keep coming back to these issues of mass shootings and massacres of our civilians. And I hope that this moment where we are again seeing this torment in an elementary school, that we will start to ask the kinds of questions that can make real progress and real change.
What is your level of faith that any of that can occur, given, I think, what you've already said and what so many of us on this side of the border have witnessed, the number of times a mass shooting has happened and no meaningful policy change to follow?
Well, change is going to come with the citizens of this state and of this nation demanding that there is a different loyalty. And so right now we have seen that the Republican Party has been loyal to the NRA, loyal to the gun lobby. And so any common sense gun reforms have been met with extreme resistance. I offered legislation myself as just a simple resolution about the death of a child in school and the fact that we would take gun safety in school seriously. I mean, something that should be an easy thing to say yes to. And it was met with resistance from the gun lobby. And so they have such a stranglehold over elected officials that I think it is a point in time where everybody has to come together and say that this does not make sense. Enough is enough of the tragedies, of the devastation that families are feeling. And if you look at what happened in Uvalde, you hear those families that said, I never thought it would happen here. It is not a question of if it will happen. It is becoming a question of when it will happen. And that has to be the point that citizens will break and say, this is a number one priority, that if we can't have rational conversations around common sense gun reform, around background checks, around extreme risk protection orders, around safe storage, if it becomes the norm that a young man on his 18th birthday can go out and buy multiple assault weapons and hundreds of rounds of bullets, and there's not an eye batted to say there's something not right here, that's got to be, I pray, the breaking point for people to say that they demand more from their elected officials.
Is it your sense that it is? And do you feel that there is some opportunity for, at least in the areas you mentioned, so not like bans on guns, for example, but more restrictions on the age at which you can purchase the kind of weapon that the shooter in this incident used, or the way in which it's stored, or just the sort of gun safety stuff, not gun control or banning guns?
Absolutely. It's common sense gun reforms. I mean, I have family members that have guns. I mean, I've grown up in Texas. I understand it. And there are responsible, reasonable gun owners. There's law enforcement officers. And when I speak with them, we say the same thing, which is, I don't want somebody who can't pass a background check to get a gun because some of the rules or loopholes that are out there allow people to do it. I don't want somebody who's in the middle of a mental health crisis where they're a danger to themselves or others to be able to have access to a weapon of war that can literally go out and slaughter 21 people like we just saw the other day, including elementary school kids. I don't want somebody that doesn't know how to store their gun properly. And so what we've seen in Texas is the opposite. What we've seen in Texas is this idea that more guns everywhere makes you safer. And this is the prime example of how that is not true. If more guns everywhere made you safer, Texas would be the safest place in the world. But we are not. Gun violence is rapid. And so it always feels different. And when you think about Sandy Hook and what happened in Sandy Hook, I thought that would be the tipping point. And I thought that when children were slaughtered in a school, we would do something differently. And maybe now with the second slaughtering of second, third, and fourth graders in school, every parent in this state, in this country that have said, I dropped my kid off today and it was the hardest thing that I've done just to take him to school. That can't become normal. And so I do pray that this is the tipping point, that we just have rational conversations, because rational folks are having these conversations, but it's political folks that can't have them because they're beholden to one industry that has a stranglehold over the Republican primary. And so I've got colleagues on the other side. I am ready to engage with them. And I pray that this is the point that voters in the general election in this country and in this state will finally say, this is an issue of which you guys have got to break from the crazy.
Has there been any indication? Have you had any of those conversations? And I recognize, obviously, it's been a very short time since all of this unfolded. But, I can only, I understand the sort of tensions and how, I guess, how, sacred the sort of, that amendment is. But I also can think that they probably are devastated to see the slaughter of kids too. So you have to imagine, just as a human, that there is a point of conversation that this could prompt. Have you seen any evidence of that?
Yeah, I think we're at the point that we have to decide where's the commitment to sacred, and do we believe in protecting children's lives? And I will tell you, in the last 48 hours, people are devastated. People are almost numb. Our stomachs are turning. In this state, I haven't met anybody that is not devastated by what's happening in Uvalde, and I can't imagine what is happening in that community. It feels different. And I pray that people will take this feeling and keep it and recognize that 21 children and 21 individuals and 19 children should not be slaughtered to a point that we finally have rational change. And so it is time to talk about common sense gun safety reform. And I do expect, Texas is a great place. And Texas has been a leader on a lot of historical moments. And maybe it is time that Texas can lead this charge. That may be fitting for us as a state. We are good people. And what's happening to our community is not who we are. But it is up to us to change that.
Representative Johnson, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.